So I'm sure you've all seen the video of Miss Nikayla calling around the churches, the mosques, predominantly black churches or whatever, and doing the formula experiment with showing how many of the churches have failed. And after having said failures exposed, the churches seem to have like doubled down, and a lot of them resorted to calling names and being disrespectful and making it seem that what she was doing, which we would consider an audit or a social experiment or, undercover journalism, so to speak, because that's real journalism. That's how you really get to see what something is really all about. It would so happen that, it was a failure on their part because we were all told what churches were supposed to be about and what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to mean to their communities, right? So they've come through looking less than stellar. And then you see these videos, they get posted up on TikTok on the very same platform, whether that was intended or not, but we all get to see it there and other social media platforms of people. She's literally been called a witch. And that made me think about how literally nothing has changed in the human psyche. It was once considered a death sentence to call a woman a witch. You knew that you were sentencing whoever you were accusing to certain death. Like, you go against the church's beliefs, you're going against this one man, you're going against this, you're going against that. You're an outsider, you seem strange. Witch, drowner, witch, burner. You know what I mean? Death sentence. Y'all are the same. It took nothing for her to be assigned that title. Witch, devil. What she did was blasphemous. Somehow what she did was blasphemous, but not the fact that you weren't willing to help. I'll do you one better. Human beings are exactly the same. Way back when that incendiary talker that liked to go to colleges and debate students about basic human rights, basically, and who should have them and who shouldn't, when he got canceled in the abrupt way that he was canceled, the first thing that people that looked like him did, they started calling and harassing black schools. HBCUs all of a sudden were getting bomb threats and everything else. First thing that y'all decide to do, anybody that looks like that, you lash out at black people like you want them in fear because something happened. Something violent happens. So rather than just sit with the fear that you may have had or really actually trying to figure it out, or maybe they were doing that, but also on top of that, you had to make sure that you weren't the only ones in fear. So now you got to spread that fear to others. We're going to call these HBCUs. Why did you assume that? What did HBCUs or people that attended those HBCUs have to do with what happened to that incendiary speaker? Why did you assume that you should target your anger there? Why would you assume that? Why is it always the first knee-jerk response? And that takes me back to the Jim Crow era and even before that. Anytime something went wrong, some woman could claim that she was essayed or worse by someone that looked like me, a man, a big, black, scary man, and then that's all she would have to say to get a whole black town burned down. It's the same thought process. It's like, it's online and everything like that. And it's like, it's curtailed a little bit. It's not as devastating, but it's along the same knee-jerk fear response that has been so ingrained with some of us in our nature. Humanity has not really changed that much. People always look in the past and you wonder, how could they have done that? How could they have done this? Why? How could they treat people this way? Good thing we understand things better. Do you really? Because it looks the same to some of us that are really paying attention and to how people behave when they're afraid or when they don't understand something. It looks the same. It just kind of shifted or morphed a little bit. But it's the same thought process and the same fear tactic. Just a thought.